Hi, this is Kate Maven, author of 101 Secrets of Canadian Culture. And this is secret number 10. Don't ask questions that are too personal. As always, these rules are true for coworkers, for classmates, and maybe for neighbors, more than they are for close friends. Close friends can talk about anything. Um, and people can tell you anything. Sometimes one of the things that my students tell me is culture shock is that people tell them things that in their country they normally wouldn't tell. For example, I've been married 4 times. I'm on my fourth marriage, and I talk about that because I want my students to understand that that is a kind of normal for us. But in a lot of cultures, there's a great deal of embarrassment or shame attached to being divorced. So you wouldn't normally talk about it. But here, it's okay to talk about. What you can't do is you can't ask me about it. So if I know that somebody's gotten divorced, of course, one of the things we want to know is what happened or why. But in general, the question why is not a polite question. There's a lot of things that people do that you may wonder why. Why did you leave your job? Why did you move? Why did you move from your country to Canada? Why did you move from Quebec to Ontario? Why? But we shouldn't ask. Why is not a polite question here. Except, of course, with my mother, who can ask me anything. So close friends might ask why, and that's okay. And you can tell why. One of the things I want to make really clear here is that you can tell anything you want to tell. I don't usually tell negative things to my colleagues. I don't, we try to keep things positive at work. We have a saying, leave your problems at the door. So if things are terrible at home, you probably aren't going to know because I'm probably not going to talk about it. So don't ask why. Another thing is if somebody has, I already talked about um, don't say how are you. I already talked about taboo subjects, and I already talked about small talk, but I want to get into the fact that even when we know somebody has an issue, like let's say one of my friends has cancer or was injured in a car accident, you think it would be really normal to ask them how they're doing. And when I see them, if I see them every few months, sure, no problem. How are you doing? I can't mention the C word. So, for example, if somebody I know has cancer, I don't say, how's your cancer? Okay, please. I would just say, how are you doing? And that gives them that opportunity to tell if they want to tell and not tell if they don't want to tell. Okay, so uh, if every day or even every week, if you know that somebody was injured or you know that they have cancer or a serious health concern, and you say, how are you? How are you? How are you? The person feels that you are sort of attacking them. And it feels like your focus is on what's wrong with them. And of course, even somebody who has cancer still might love movies and still might listen to music. And so if your focus is on that one specific thing, it makes the person feel that their value has gone down. So I'm not even sure that that's a part of Canadian culture. I just think it's a part of being a good friend to remember that even when somebody's having a very hard time, that there are other things that you can talk about. Of course, if my friend wants to talk to me about their cancer, I'm more than happy to listen. It's not that I don't want to hear your problems. Don't get me wrong. It's not that we don't care or that we're not interested in each other's problems. Of course we are. But I shouldn't ask. Even with my best friend, I might not ask unless she starts to tell me, and then I can ask questions. The same applies when somebody left their job. If they want to tell me why they left, they can tell me, but I shouldn't say, oh, what happened? Or why did you leave? If somebody tells me that they've left their job, I would probably say, wow, what's next? So I would focus on the next step rather than on looking for a reason for why they did what they did. We were pretty reserved, especially when we first meet people. One of my very best friends in the world, I worked with her for 3 years. I had tea with her every night. We taught night class together. I had tea with her every night, and we chit-chatted, but we never saw each other outside of work for 3 years. And that's because of this kind of natural reserve that we have, that we don't open up about our personal lives until we know people a little bit better. So when you first meet someone, I know I said, you can talk to people with kids, you can talk to people with dogs, and you can talk to seniors. And that's true. Those are people in general you can have a conversation with. What I didn't tell you is that when you meet that person, you can say, what's your dog's name? But you can't say, what's your name? I know that's really, really weird for a lot of my students. A lot of newcomers to Canada think, really? But I want to know your name. And you probably might want to know my name. But what we do is we used to, I'm not sure with COVID now, but we used to just put out our hand and say, by the way, my name is Kate. And that proper response to that is, hi, Kate, my name is blah, blah, blah. Nice to meet you. Another question you shouldn't ask that person that you meet at the park is, where do you live? It makes us feel that you are stalking us a little bit. It's too personal. So, for example, when my students are together in my ESL class, of course, they might want to know, are they neighbors? But they can't ask. You can't say, where do you live? Where do you live is a rude question. You need to say, do you live near here? Or you can say, isn't this a great neighborhood? I just live over on, Guelph line. I just live over on, name the street that you live on and say, this is a great neighborhood. And that opens the door. You're offering information, and that opens the door for the other person to share their information too. Another thing that might really surprise you is that if we've had a really great chat at the park, you're a mom with a little baby and I've met you and we've had a very nice chat. At the end of that chat, maybe in other countries, it might be really normal to say, wow, I've got my phone right here. Can I get your number? Or I'll give you my number and we can get together again. No, we don't usually do that. That's a little bit, for us, a little bit aggressive for a first meeting. So what I might do is go back again at sort of the same time, hoping that you'll go back again at the same time. If I saw the same person like tomorrow that I saw today, I wouldn't necessarily start a conversation with them again. I would wait to see if they started a conversation with me. We're very careful. We tiptoe around each other for initiating friendships. Okay, so you have to be careful. So we don't ask about money because it's personal. We don't ask about jobs because it's personal. We don't ask, if you have teenagers, I might say, oh my God, good luck with that. I might volunteer how difficult I know it can be to have teenagers at home. I had 3. So I do know how difficult that can be, but I shouldn't ask. The same reason we don't ask about how your child is doing in school. It's too personal. So if you understand that we have these taboos and that we use small talk to break the ice, you should also know that until we become real friends, until you're eating at my house and I'm eating at your house, we're probably not going to start sharing really personal information. And it might take months or even years, as it did with me and my friend Karen. It took us years to break down those barriers to get to be revealing more personal information about ourselves. That's secret number 10. Don't get too personal. The next video will be secret number 11. 93% of communication is through tone and body language. And I'll tell you a little bit about how we use tone. I've mentioned that already, but I'll tell you a little bit more about that in our next video. Thanks for watching. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If you want more information about Canadian culture, you can check out my book, 101 Secrets of Canadian Culture. It's available on Amazon in most regions, and in Canada, it's available on amazon.ca. Thanks. See you next time.